Will everyone please rise and salute the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Roll call of the members. Councilor Rigo is absent. Councilor Giardino? Here. Here. Councilor Guanasso?
Here.
Here. Councilor Haas?
Here.
Here. Councilor Morabito?
Here.
Here. Councilor Novoselsky?
Here.
Here. Councilor Patch?
Here.
Here. Councilor Penta is absent. Councilor Reardon?
Here.
Here. Councilor Zambuto?
Here.
Here. And Council President Powers?
Here.
Here. Quorum is present. Approval of the journals of the meetings of December 8th and December 15th, 2014.
So moved. Motion to approve.
Calendar item 1, the joint meeting of the utility companies has been moved to February 9th. Calendar item number 2, hearing called is ordered on a proposed refunding loan order.
We'll call on the proponents first. Are there any proponents here? Hearing none. Any opponents? Hearing none. Any councilors?
Mr. President,
Councilor Reardon.
I'm not certain whether there's any urgency on this matter. It doesn't appear that there is, given the fact that the administration has no one here, but I certainly understand with the weather the way it is why that would not be. But I'm going to move that we put this over for our next meeting, continue this for that, because I do have some questions about
I agree, because I have some questions myself. This will be moved to the February 9th meeting.
Calendar item number 3, hearing called is ordered on the application of 525 Beach Street Limited Partnership, care of the Neighborhood Developers, Inc., 4 Garish Ave, Chelsea, Mass., requesting a 34-vehicle parking garage license to enable the appellant to park 34 vehicles below a residential structure at 525 Beach Street.
Proponents. You're a proponent. State your name and address, please.
Corey Rhodes, D'Ambrosio Brown, 14 Proctor Avenue, Revere. I represent 525 Beach Street Limited Partnership and their development entity, the Neighborhood Developers. To keep our comments as brief as possible, given the situation, the project at 525 Beach Street is nearing completion, probably 80%. They expect to be completed sometime in February, with actually residents moving in March. So this is really one of the final pieces to getting this project up and running. The flammables license related to the underground parking. All our fire suppression plans and specifications have been approved by the fire department. So we've put forward this petition and asked for your support.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents? Hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Any opponents? Any opponents? Hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, this has been a major project going on down at 525 Beach Street, and it's a big boom for our neighborhood. It's 30 units. We're providing 34 parking spaces underground, which is something that I was very steadfast on and making it happen. And they agreed to do this. And with the way the building is now, it's a beautiful building. If anybody wants to drive by there and take a look at it, it is an outstanding job, just the way the architects did the rendering on it. It's a perfect facility. And I would hope at this time that we move this tonight past the 148. We do not have to wait a week. It's not a special permit. And I would hope that my colleagues vote in favor of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Novoselsky. Councilor Zambuto.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the first time I think I've seen a garage license. Is this a fuel storage license in disguise, or?
It is a Chapter 148 flammables license.
It is a Chapter 1. Okay.
Correct.
It's written differently than I've ever seen it before. So, isn't it? Okay. So this is simply a flammable. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Zambuto. Councilor Ganasso.
Mr. President, this is clearly something that's the craziness of some of the public hearings that we conduct here. This is absolutely one of them. We allow for the structure to be built. We know there has to be parking because that's part of the site plan conditions and our own conditions, and by city ordinance, and why we have to conduct a public hearing to allow them to come forward to do this. I just still, for the life of me, don't understand it. I think this is something that should be taken up the initial meeting when we allowed this to take shape and get on the board. But nevertheless, it's here, and again, I speak about it, and I think it's crazy, but obviously, what choice do we have? We already allowed this to take place. Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, Councilor, I think the fact that we allowed the building to take place indicates that we would need storage for the cars.
That's
and
correct.
I think the cars were probably shown on the plan of the building. Is that, if I'm not mistaken?
I saw
Councilor
your
Haas.
car back there, in fact.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we look at the data that was given to us, it seems like Gene Doherty signed off on this on 11/20. So the building was mostly constructed. We knew it was coming in. But then this is another issue we should really take up with the state, because we have no control of it, really. If we deny it, as we had in the past to another major developer, they went to court and they got it immediately.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I intend to vote favorably on this evening. I'm familiar with the area and the structure that was there. It was a blight on the neighborhood for decades. And I think this is something that we should approve this evening, and so they can get going down there. Are there any other councilors who would like to speak on this?
Move the
Move to
question.
approve? Yeah.
Shall the City Council approve the Chapter 148 license to enable the applicant to park 34 vehicles in a garage below a residential structure at 525 Beach Street? Councilor Rigo is absent. Councilor Janino?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Haas?
yes.
Yes. Councilor Morbido?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Penta is absent. Councilor Reardon?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Powers?
Yes.
Yes. The Chapter 148 license has been granted.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Calendar item number 4, the report of the Appointment Subcommittee.
Councilor Ganasso.
Mr. President, early this evening, the appointment subcommittee met and we had the following on the agenda. The reappointment of Frank Scatino, 48 Reservoir Ave, to the Board of Public Library Trustees. The reappointment of Lisa Solo, 51 Sigourney Street, Revere, to the Board of Public Library Trustees. Reappointment of Andrew DeSantis, 25 Sereno Way, Saugus, to the Conservation Commission. Reappointment of Rose Lepore, 31 Lamperth Street, Revere, to the Disability Commission. Reappointment of Olivia Ferranti, 115 Reservoir Ave, to the Disability Commission. And appointment of Nick Melason, 57 Milano Ave, Revere, to the Conservation Commission. And each of these were voted out favorably by the subcommittee, and I wish the City Council would do the same. Thank you, Mr.
In
President.
the interest of expediency, are you recommending that we
I'm recommending that we take them all at
All at
once
once?
unless there's an objection.
Are there any other councilors that want to speak? Call the roll, please.
Shall the City Council confirm the appointments as reported by Chairman Guanasso? Councilor Rigo is absent. Councilor Janino?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Haas? Yes. Councilor Morbido?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky? Yes. Councilor Patch? Yes. Councilor Penta is absent. Councilor Reardon? Yes. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Powers?
Yes.
Yes, the appointments have been confirmed. Pursuant to Rule 23 of the City Council Rules of Order, the following motions or communications are being reported out of committee with a recommendation to be placed on file. Calendar item number 5, communication from Rachel Damiano relative to property located on Geneva Street.
Placed on file.
Calendar item number 6, motion of Councilor Arrigo relative to an economic development comprehensive plan.
Placed on file.
Calendar item number 7, Motion of Councilor Haas relative to a bike lane on Revere Beach Boulevard.
Placed on file.
Calendar item number 8, communication from the mayor relative to a transfer for the implementation of the 40U program.
Councilors?
Mr. President, if I may, I understand, I don't know if anybody knows what the 40U is. That's a new program where the city is having its own public hearings for non-criminal, correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Clerk, non-criminal citations.
For tickets that are issued by the Building and Inspection Services Department.
Because right now,
Correct.
the Chelsea court will not hear them. And the people that owe them, had the ticket and appealed it, never hear anything about it. So the city's taken it in their own hands to have their own public hearings. I guess it will be held down at the police station.
That's correct.
We have a hearings officer, Attorney Robert Mara,
Who was an attorney, by the way.
who happens to be an attorney, and he'll be taking care of that. So I think this will help a lot of people clear some old issues up and move the city forward to good process and due process for all their items. So unless you want to put it in Ways and Means, it's up to you.
No,
but I have no problem voting on this tonight.
I'd like to vote on this evening because it'll speed things up in that department down there, and there are people that are waiting for these hearings to be held in the district court, and this will be a lot quicker and a lot more efficient for us because our inspectors can appear at these hearings more easily just by, going down to the police station. Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. President. These tickets we issue now for violations, right now they go into a black hole, and people are frustrated. They can't get a hearing to appeal one of them, or, it's just with good intentions, it became a mess. We finally found a way to streamline it, to make everybody happy, to have an unbiased hearing officer, hear these cases, and if somebody was wrongly charged, they'll certainly be dismissed. This is, it's time to move this forward. It's now a good process. We've set up a good, the administration has set up a good system, and I think we should move it forward tonight.
I agree with you 100%. Councilor Reardon, did you want to speak?
Just very, very quickly, it seems that since we've already approved the 40U in the first place and the administration has put it in place, it would be almost impossible for us not to fund the necessary equipment. This is a rather modest sum to that end, and I agree. If the court has passed the jurisdiction of these matters on to us, then we need to take action.
Thank you, Councilor Reardon. Councilor Haas.
Thank you, Mr. President. It seems like the Chelsea court was overworked with major crimes instead of the minor crimes. And when you look at this, there's a good opportunity to give the citizens the right to request an appeal that will be heard in a timely manner. Hopefully it'll reduce, increase the revenue to the city of Revere, and it'll give the people who have received a citation the opportunity to vent. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Haas. And I can't think of a person more qualified or more unbiased that will administer this hearing and make a decision as to what is a violation and what is not a violation. And I will support this 100%, and we take this for a vote.
Shall the City Council approve a transfer in the amount of $3,000 from the Health Elderly Flu Shots account to $420 to the Telephone Communications account, $500 to the Health Office Supplies account, and $2,080 to the MIS Computer Operations account? Councilor Rigo is absent. Councilor Janino?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Haas? Yes. Yes. Councilor Morbido?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Penta is absent. Councilor Reardon?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Powers?
Yes.
Yes. The transfer has been approved.
Transfer approved.
Calendar item number 9, communication from the mayor relative to reappointments to the Board of Assessors, Board of Health, and the Planning Board.
Going to Appointments Subcommittee.
Calendar item number 10, communication from John Ward of Roca relative to an update on Roca's programming and services. I've been advised by Mr. Ward that he would not be in attendance this evening.
Because of the impending storm, I understand that. Yeah. That's fine. He'll be here at the
February 9th
meeting. Yes.
Calendar item number 11, motion presented by Councilors Morbido and Penta that the mayor request the Department of Public Works Sign Department to replace the school speed limit sign and be made visible to automobile drivers who pass by the area. The yellow sign is located on Bennington Street and is attached to a tree after Dunkin' Donuts near the Beachmont School. The lights on the sign no longer flash yellow to caution drivers of an approaching school zone and a reduction in speed.
Councilor Morbido?
The motion basically speaks for itself, but just want to I think this motion should be addressed immediately, especially now that the winter weather is here and it limits drivers' visibility, and the school zone is right there, and we want to correct the situation before a student is hit by a car or something drastic happens.
On the motion, all in favor, so approved.
Calendar item number 12, motion presented by Councilor Novoselsky that the mayor request the Traffic Commission to allow holders of a visitor pass to be able to park on adjacent streets to the street which the permit is issued.
Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, this came about last week when I realized through the clerk that the way the city ordinance is written now, it says the parking sticker and does not address the additional visitor passes. And down in my neighborhood, we take care of CAPIC at the Head Start program, excuse me, and we allow them visitor passes. And on street sweeping days, they have to park on adjacent streets. Well, just recently, some of the people got parking tickets, not realizing it. So this hopefully will correct it, and will relieve people living on Nahant Ave and Dohon Street.
Yeah. And I agree, and there are probably other streets in the city that have that same problem. So I think it's something that should be addressed. Councilor Reardon.
Yes, I would agree with you, Mr. President. There are several streets in Ward 4 as well with the same types of issues, but I think the problem of we're more and more we're being asked to indulge people with resident parking, and of course that comes along with a visitor pass as well. So I think it wouldn't be a bad idea for the City Council to consider reviewing both the ordinances that are in place regarding these matters and maybe coming to some conclusion one way or the other. The only problem I can see with this is it essentially gives the visitor a better opportunity than it does the person holding the sticker, if I'm not mistaken, is the thrust of the motion. It would work for both. So you're allowing both the visitors and the person who holds the actual sticker to park.
Councilor, the sticker people already have that privilege, but the visitor pass people do not.
Well, I understand what you're saying. I guess I'm kind of mixing apples with oranges here, because I know that when we, for instance, on Prospect Avenue, when we installed a partial residential parking on that particular street up to a certain point, the way it was interpreted, and it wasn't intended that way, was that anybody who was living, had that address, could park for residential parking, but no one beyond that address could. And obviously, the person who lives at 51 Prospect Avenue and the person who lives at 53 are essentially in the same situation as far as requiring the parking. So I think this and these issues ought to be addressed. But I agree with you that this is a more sane way to address these issues.
Are there any other councilors that want to speak on this? This will be going to the Traffic Commission.
Late communication from the Superintendent of Public...
Excuse me, Madam Clerk. I'd like to recognize Councilor Arrigo is with us this evening.
Late communication from the Superintendent of Public Schools requesting approval of the City Council to submit a statement of interest form to the MSBA relative to the Garfield School.
We'll take that up for a vote this evening.
Mr. President, if I may.
Yeah. Councilor Novoselsky and then
Mr.
Councilor
President,
Reardon.
I read the statement, and nothing against anybody, but I know the wheels of progress slow things down, and I just say it's about time. This is something, the roof at the Garfield, the building's 20 years old now, and it's old, and it's seen its day, and it is time to replace it. And also, we had a incident in Hurricane Sandy several years ago where the back part of the school where the pool is literally collapsed, and the governor came down to look at it during that his tour. And the Revere School custodian staff and Kyle Svensson had to do some serious protection work down there, and they did an outstanding job, may I say, having watched them for a short period of time. But I think this is necessary, and I think we should proceed with this, and hopefully my fellow colleagues will approve it. Thank you.
Councilor Reardon.
Thank you. Very briefly, the superintendent did ask me to explain to anyone, it's fairly well explained in the actual application resolution, that this is not a commitment for the city to fund anything whatsoever. It's merely a statement of what it says. It is a statement of interest that would allow the wheels to start turning to get the SBA to consider funding in one way or the other, either by grant or a loan, a portion of the repairs, the much-needed repairs, as Councilor Novoselsky said, down at the Garfield School. They're really, it's getting to be a real problem down there, and it's going to be an expensive fix. So we have to consider every possible source of remuneration that we can possibly find, and I would urge my colleagues to vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Reardon. Councilor Haas and then Councilor Origo.
Mr. President, I concur with the previous two speakers. You know, if there's money out there, we should take advantage and apply for it. Too bad this had to be the lateness of it. February 11th, it has to be in. The application has to be in. But again, if there's money to be had, we should go after everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Haas. Councilor Origo.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I do agree that if there is any money available from the state school building authority, that we should absolutely be able to apply. And I have no problem with the resolution. I do want to put the question out there of how much we're looking at repairs costing, and whether or not, I mean, if the repairs are due to a storm that happened several years ago, has there been any more disrepair or any more problems that may increase the price? You know, I wonder what we're looking at. I know, obviously, from a state perspective, the state is grappling with a pretty big budget deficit currently, and I don't know how much is out there from the MSBA, but I think it's also important to understand what the scope of the problem is, and what we're looking at is a potential, like what we're on the hook for. And I don't know if anybody has that, even a rough estimate. I think I heard $2 million, but you know, I think it would be helpful to know exactly what we're looking for, or what we're looking at in terms of exposure on the city end, because obviously the state's not going to be able to afford a full repair and renovation. So I just put that out there. I know this isn't asking, or this isn't a commitment on any part of the city, but I do think that we need to start thinking about how much we're going to be on the hook for. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Origo. Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've heard that rumor of a couple of $1 million. I would just say, through my experience, it's not unreasonable to think it would be all of $2 million to do a roof on that building. It may be more. So I think this is just a potential avenue of money, and hopefully they would approve this application and give us 80% of that, whatever the figure is, but we know it's going to be in the couple of $1 million range at least. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Zambudo. For the edification of the general public, we're not approving any $2 million loan order or borrowing order this evening. we're only allowing the superintendent to move ahead. What we could have down the road, if the council feels the superintendent want to have him come up here at some point and explain this in more detail to us, that would be fine. But I would suggest this evening that we do vote on this and vote favorably.
Mr. President, I would ask that in addition to requesting, to voting on it, that we request the superintendent to give us a rough estimate at some point in the near future.
Exactly.
While this application process is going, of what the costs are expected.
Yeah, if he could come up here, perhaps,
I'm sure he'd be
send
happy
us
to
a communication.
He'd be happy to tell us what he thinks it might be at this point. Obviously, we haven't set out any bids, anything out to bid or anything like that, but certainly we should get some rough information. Thank you.
Call the roll, please, Madam Clerk.
Should this be read into the record?
Yes.
Resolved, having convened in an open meeting on January 26, 2015, prior to the closing date, the City Council of Revere, in accordance with its charter, bylaws, and ordinances, has voted to authorize the superintendent to submit the Massachusetts School Building Authority the Statement of Interest form dated February 11, 2015 for the Garfield Community Magnet School, parentheses, Garfield Elementary and Garfield Middle, located at 176 Garfield Ave, which describes and explains the following deficiencies and the priority categories for which an application may be submitted to the Massachusetts School Building Authority in the future, an application to the Accelerated Repair Program for a new roof system and replacement of a structurally unsound exterior wall, and hereby further specifically acknowledges that by submitting this statement of interest form, the Massachusetts School Building Authority in no way guarantees the acceptance or approval of an application, the awarding of a grant, or any other funding commitment from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, or commits the City-Town Regional School District to filing an application for funding with the Massachusetts School Building Authority. Councilor Rigo.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Janino.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Guanasso.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Haas.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morabito.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Penta is absent. Councilor Reardon.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Zambuto.
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Powers.
Yes.
Yes. The resolution has been approved. We have a late motion presented by Councilor Rigo that the mayor request more detailed information from the organization Boston 2024 regarding the potential use of Suffolk Downs as a potential site for the Olympics. If Suffolk Downs is being considered as a potential site, it is imperative that residents of the city of Revere be included in the scheduled public meetings to discuss any potential impacts.
Councilor Rigo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I apologize for this being late. That's my own fault. But anyone who's following the Olympics and Boston 2024 bid knows that last week the head of Boston 2024 had thrown Suffolk Downs out as a potential site. And I just want to make sure that we're kind of doing our due diligence and making sure that we're all informed and kept up to date on anything that might come out. I know it was kind of thrown out as I think a little haphazardly as a backup site, and I do want us to think about the fact that this is a big piece of property, obviously an important piece of property for the future of the city, and I'm kind of sick and tired of hearing it called a backup plan for a lot of people. I think for the city, it's not a backup plan site. And if it is going to be a potential site for the Olympics, we need to make sure that we're getting as much information and that we're involved in the process. I know I know there are scheduled meetings all over the city in Boston, and East Boston is one of those sites that will have a meeting. But I want to make sure that if this is going to be a plan, or if there is a thought out there that Suffolk Downs be used for the Olympics, that we do stay informed and we do keep this on our radar. I know it's almost a decade out, so it may not be of much interest to people right now, but it will be if we end up having the Olympics come here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Arrigo. Councilor Janino.
Thank you. I think that this is a great motion on behalf of Councilor Arrigo, and I think it is really important for us as an elected official body to be informed on the issue, as well as our residents, because like Councilor Arrigo said, even though it is far out, it is something that would directly impact us, even if it was in Boston, not directly in Suffolk Downs. And I think that's something that we do need to keep our eye on and be well informed. So great job, and I look forward to hearing more about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Giannino. With that said, there are no more business. I have a few comments I'd like to make regarding the impending storm. This City Council met with department heads today to discuss and put in place anything necessary to help with the storm. They say this storm, I've heard rumors that on the radio that this storm may be something similar to the blizzard of '78. Even if that is true, we are much more prepared and much more equipped today to deal with that eventuality. Fire Chief Gene Doherty was up here today. He's in charge of emergency management, and he laid out a very clear plan as to where we were going. The police chief was here, Captain Guido, Paul Argenzio, Superintendent Goodwin. Superintendent Goodwin assured us that the tide gates are closed, they're functioning, and that should relieve some of the people down in the Oak Island area that had a problem just a few months ago. Also, I'm told by Chief Doherty that there are extra people that are going to be on duty this next few days, that a piece of apparatus has been moved into the Alden Mills Fire Station in the Point of Pines. It will be manned starting tomorrow for the duration of the storm. So we're really in pretty good shape. National Grid was here today. I caution anyone that if you see a down line on your street, stay away from it. Call 911. All emergency calls should be directed to 911, and they will respond. I also want to mention that Rosalie Vincent was here today, and she was fortunate enough to get us the garage where people could put their cars for a couple of days for a fee of $5 down at Wonderland if they so desired. And also, I want to mention that thanks to the vision of Councilor Novoselsky, who submitted that motion several years ago, that's a motion that's on the books now, and something that every time we have a difficult situation, we can deal with. There is a parking ban in effect. And I want to mention also that the parking ban does include Revere Beach Boulevard, which is controlled by DCR. So that is in effect. If anyone has any questions, they certainly can call 911, and there are people there to address those questions. And on Councilor Arrigo's motion, all in favor? No further business this evening. And
Mr. President, just if a follow-up on your point of personal privilege, I'd like to make an address people of Ward 4, particularly those who live on the hills and the very tight streets we have up there.
Certainly, go right ahead.
Thank you very much. The parking garage, once again, as Council President said, is open. It's $5 a day. It's good through Thursday morning at 5 at this point, and possibly even later. And I urge everybody who lives on streets like Vane Street and Prospect Avenue, not so much Prospect, perhaps, but Reservoir certainly, and any tight streets, to consider taking their vehicles to the parking garage and leaving them there so that the city plows can get up and down the streets and do their job and do what they're supposed to do, and give you a better spot to park in when it's all said and done. So it's a good idea. The garage is going to be there. It's open. We invested a lot of time and effort to build it, and it should be something that the city and its residences take advantage of in times like these. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Reardon. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, thank you for the notice on the motion. I do work hard for that.
And you did do it, and you deserve the credit for it.
I do want to take it. The thanks also goes to former Secretary of Transportation, Rich Davey, and Karen DeSpirito, who helped facilitate that. So that's a great thing that the city can take advantage of. The other thing is one specific spot I want to make mention is North Shore Road between Revere Beach Parkway and Wonderland. That is a state road, and there is no posting of no parking on that street. But I do encourage the folks that park there and live there to relocate their cars into people's driveways and to go down to the garage, as Councilor Reardon also mentioned. But with the amount of snow that we're getting, hopefully that we will get, and I feel confident we're going to get anywhere from 20 to 30 inches over the next 12 to 14 hours, that they relocate their cars off North Shore Road. It's not an easy thing to do, and maybe next year we'll think about making an emergency artery where we have to get people to relocate their cars. So please relocate your cars off North Shore Road and any other street that is posted with a blue emergency artery sign. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
President.
Councilor Novoselsky. Councilor Granasso.
Thank you, Mr. President. Earlier this afternoon, when we met with the informational committee that was chaired by Chief Doherty, Donnie Goodwin stood up and said that, in terms, he was asked a question about the plowing and do we have enough resources to handle the situation. Obviously, we don't, in the major proportions of when you're having 24 to 30 inches plus. But one of the interesting points, and he was very honest about his response, was that people ought to be patient with the fact that this is going to be a major storm and dropping a lot of snow. Everybody gets impatient, including myself. They're going to work with the major streets first. The main thoroughfares are going to be serviced first. They need to open up those arteries in order to do the right thing for our community. They will get to the secondary streets, side streets, thereafter some time. But don't look for it right away because it might not happen. And so he wants everyone to be patient. We have enough, he feels very confident that we have enough resources in hand to handle the situation, but also be mindful of the fact that side streets will be the secondary ones to get performances. Obviously, we'll do the hills, and as we always do, and we'll do the major streets, Revere Street, Broadway, and all those areas. But be patient, make a cup of coffee, relax, enjoy it, and if you have any questions at all, any emergency questions, call 911. They're there to help you and service you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Granasso. Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. President. But I was just trying to tell you that was the point that I got at the meeting this afternoon. My good friend, Councilor, beat me to it. But I want the people of Ward 6 to know that if there is like any serious problem, that they do call 911. The secondary streets will be, if this storm does reach the potential that they say it will, it'll probably be a while before they clear them out. So, like Councilor Granasso said, just be patient, and if there is an emergency, call 911. Thank you.
Thank you. I can assure the people that Chief Doherty and his team of Chief Caffarelli and Superintendent Goodwin have everything under control. They're ready to respond to any eventuality, and they'll certainly be out there doing the best they can with what they have to work with. Thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned until February 9th at 6 p.m.